I made two critical mistakes on this build.
Make sure you wear a respirator, eye protection, and ear protection.
This is a flattening mill from Crafted Elements. I love this thing. I'll leave a link to it down in the description. It is heavy duty, and if you're going to be flattening slabs or cookies or whatever, I would highly recommend picking up one of these. All I'm doing is I'm placing the cookie or the slab down on the flat surface. I'm shimming it up so that it doesn't rock, and then I run my router over, flattening the top, then flip it over and flatten the other side. Super simple process, and it's honestly a lot of fun because I love seeing the transformation of these dark colored hickory slabs lightening up once you mill them. It's time to go ahead and prepare these cookies for the epoxy pour. This is the bottom, this will be the bottom of the table. And so what I'm doing is using some tape to cover up all of these cracks or any holes where epoxy might leak out. I'm using I think this is HVAC tape. There's probably a better, more technical name for it. But I like using this tape because it holds its rigidity. I love Total Boat products. They have everything you need for epoxy projects. So obviously lots of different types of epoxy, mixing buckets. They have lots of other accessories. You can also get black diamond pigments at Total Boat. So this is black diamond. I'm using the black oinks. Probably said that wrong. Anyways, in just a second, I'm going to add this pigment, but you want to make sure that you stir this epoxy extremely well. If you don't stir this well enough, it might not cure correctly. So I basically stir until it looks no longer cloudy, but looks really, really clear. By the way, I have tape on the bottom of these slabs, and then these slabs are sitting in a big mold by Crafted Elements. I basically just have this down just in case the epoxy leaks, but it really shouldn't. Something just to keep in mind while you are coloring this is that the color is always going to lighten up or become less intense once you pour it out because it's not going to be all concentrated in one little bucket. So I always add in a little bit more dye than I think I will need so that I get the color I like. Here we go. I have a bad feeling that I mixed up way too much epoxy. Hopefully this is the last time I have to surface these slabs. Really, I should have poured the epoxy first, then surfaced them all, so just kind of correcting mistakes as we go. But I think once I mill these down, they're gonna look sweet. Let's check it out. This is a great surfacing bit, and you can rotate these knives up to 4 times before you need to order new ones. And this has been my favorite surfacing router bit. So links in the description, check it out.
These things are ready to sand. Hallelujah.
Whenever I'm putting a round over on a live edge slab or cookie like this, the sides of the slab aren't straight up and down. They do this, they do that, and so I never put the round over on with a router with like a roundover bit. Instead, I just put the roundover on with my 5-inch disc sander, and to me it actually gives it a little bit more of a organic look because it's not going to be consistent. I really like that look, and I just think it works better for these type of projects. For the finish on this end table, I'm going to be using some Odie's oil. This is my first time using Odie's oil, but I wanted to get this because, one, this finish doesn't have any kind of chemicals or anything like that, so you don't even have to wear rubber gloves when you're applying it. I really like that it's kind of all natural, and also it's just a finish that I've been wanting to try for a while. And so I'll give you in a second my honest thoughts on this. But I bought a kit, so it comes with the Odie's oil, but it also comes with the applicator pads, which I'll show you how to use these in a second. It comes with some terry cloth to wipe off the excess finish, and it also comes with these stir sticks. So it's kind of nice to have the whole kit. Once again, links in the description if you're interested in that. These we use to buff out the excess, so I'm going to set this to the side for now. Now, when you're applying this Odie's oil to the applicator pad, a tip that I've seen on YouTube is you don't want it just on the surface. You kind of want it to get down into the pad because we're going to really buff this in. So you kind of can put it on like this and work it into that pad. And I've heard that this Odie's oil will go further than you think it will. Also, now that I'm looking at this, I think if I was going to do this again, I'd cut this in half so you can get double use out of these pads. Now I'm just going to start at one end and start in a circular motion buffing this in. I'm super excited to see how this looks. Couple of tips, like I said, don't forget to come back 45 minutes later, buff this out. A trick you can use is you want to be able to buff this out and then run your hand across the slab without seeing any smears or fingerprint marks. If you see like a fingerprint mark or a smear, you need to buff it out more because there's basically too much residue still on the slab. Also, do not forget, this is hugely important, don't forget to finish the bottom of your slab. A lot of times I think woodworkers might think no one's going to see that, it's the bottom of the table, but if you don't finish the bottom, moisture can get in on one side of the slab more than on the other side, and it can cause that slab to move, even bow up over time, and you definitely don't want that to happen. So don't forget to finish the bottom. Couple of notes about these legs. I'm just making sure that the legs are parallel to each other with this 12-inch square. Take your time when you're putting in these legs with something that's live edge like this on all sides because there's not a single square side on the edge of this table. So I just kind of try and get it in a spot that I feel like looks centered, if that makes sense, and make sure these legs are parallel to each other. Also, these legs I've been very impressed with. I got these off Amazon. I've ordered a ton, like dozens probably, of legs for these types of tables on Amazon. Some are better than others. These are really, really good. They're solid steel. The screws that came with them are not dinky, but they're actually really good. And so if you're interested in making a table like this, I'll, of course, leave a link to these legs down in the description. So I made two critical mistakes when building these end tables. The first mistake that I made was I planed the slabs down before I poured the epoxy. And honestly, I don't think I should have done that because I think a general rule of thumb when you're working with epoxy projects and slabs is you want to keep as much thickness as possible for as much time as possible. That's a tip that I heard from John Malecki. And I didn't do that. I went ahead and planed it down, then poured the epoxy. Well, then I had to plane it anyways, because there was no way I was gonna make that epoxy pour perfect. Obviously, it leaked on me, which that's the second mistake I made, is I didn't seal these cookies correctly. Really, the main thing is that Bora Centipede table, it didn't come warped, but I think it got rained on or somehow it got wet, so it warped. So there's like this bubble underneath the slabs that the epoxy started running into, and once that epoxy starts running out of your mold or out of where you want it to be, it's game over. And That led to really a third mistake, which was I started like pouring epoxy everywhere to fill in all these voids on the second and third and fourth epoxy pour. Well, that epoxy is dyed black, and I'm pouring this into ingrain. And so I think I kind of stained the slabs a little bit. It just doesn't look as clean. And so, I mean, these are cool tables. They're for my house. I think they'll be fine. But please learn from my mistakes. I'm just kind of sitting here running through this build in my mind. I'm like, man, I did a lot of things wrong. And like they turned out cool. I think they're cool tables. Anyways, to cheer me up, if you could just hit the like button on this video before you leave, I'd really appreciate that. Check out one of these two videos too. I do some epoxy projects in one of these two videos, and I don't mess them up. So if that will interest you, check out one of these videos. I'll see you there.